Hi everyone, welcome to OC Avery for the debut episode of Breeding British Birds Season 3. I'm Oliver, and in today's video I'm going to be introducing you to the many pairs of native finches and canaries that we've got for this breeding season. I'm going to show you how we've transformed the bird room and the flights into suitable breeding quarters, and we're going to see how we got on in the first week since pairing up the birds. For the 2023 breeding season, I've chosen 12 pairs of canaries. Now, the canaries are here in their own right, of course. We have various different breeds from red factors, we've got North Dutch frills, Spanish rasers, some crossbreeds, some agate opal new colours. They're all here in their own right, but they have one main purpose here at OC Avery, and that is to be feeders for the native finches. Now, some people don't agree with feeders, that they think you should let the parents rear the young or let them die. My thoughts on that is the fact that the youngsters can't help it, and they wouldn't particularly know any different whether it's a greenfinch feeding them as a mother or it's a canary. And I like to have them as a backup, not as the sole rearers in the shed, but as a backup option in case of emergency. So the 12 pairs of canaries we've got across the bottom two rows, pretty much. We have got some slightly higher up, and we'll come to why in a little bit now. But each cage is 2 foot wide, it is 18 inches high, and it's 18 inches deep, and that is very large, to be honest, to breed canaries in. That's quite a substantial size, but it's how we wanted the cages to be. We wanted to have them that bit more room, and it does mean that if they are rearing larger native birds like greenfinches, for example, they've got that bit more room, and I do think it's going to help us keep them fit as well, because that is important, that we keep them in good condition throughout the whole breeding season. So they are mainly here as feeders. We've got all sorts of different breeds, as I discussed earlier, but of 12 pairs of canaries, 11 have built nests and 11 are on eggs, which is a fantastic start. I'm really pleased that they've got off so quickly. We've got some hang on the front plastic nest pans from Direct Bird Products. I've grated some carbolic soap, I've done a preparation on that. If you want to see that video, that's up here somewhere from a few years ago. We've stuck the nest felts in there, and that should really help us keep control of mite in the bird room. And just a tip with the carbolic soap is use it to also seal the bottom of the nest pans so that mite can't get underneath and sort of embed themselves in the felt. Hopefully that will work all right for you, and it has done certainly for me in previous seasons. So 11 of 12 pairs built nests, 11 of 12 pairs on eggs. The red factor hen was the earliest to go down, just set 5 eggs on her today. The others we've separated out. We have taken the eggs out, replaced them with pot eggs, just so I can set them on the same day so that they'll hatch at the similar sort of time. And it means that any natives that might need feeding, which we'll talk about later, then they will be able to switch their eggs with them and if it is needed. So we've got 8 pairs of lesser redpoles for this breeding season. We've got them in the cages behind me, so this is the redpole wall, if you want to call it that. All lesser redpoles. Now, I've got them from a variety of different bloodlines, all bloodlines that have done rather well and been successful on the show bench, both in the UK and in Europe. So a real mix of variety, some birds that are just not related to each other at all, which is a good thing. We're keeping that genetic diversity in there. Now, these cages, they are 4 foot long for what I've given them. So 4 foot long cage, it's about 14 to 16 inches high and similar deep as well. So rather good sized cages, and I have found that it has benefited me in the past. It has favoured breeding them. I've bred them in 2 foot cages, I've bred them in 18-inch cages, but giving them that bit more room helps keep them in good condition, keeps them fit, and it also means that I've got the option of dividing cockbirds off without having to move him elsewhere if I do need to, because sometimes it can be a bit troublesome. So we've got 7 pairs of normals just here, and we've got a pair which is a cobalt hen to a normal cockbird I bred last year. So we're going to have a real variety in there. All good quality birds, like I'd said, and I am looking forward to seeing how we get on with them this year. Fingers crossed for a good year. These nest pans as well, I needed to point out to you. So these are external nests, a grass liner in the centre, but I've hung them on the outside for the moment without allowing them access, and that's for a very good reason. Redpoles in the wild won't go to nest until about mid-May, even June. So we're start of April at the moment. It is quite early, but I have had them go down this early. But when they do, it's generally been clear eggs, maybe one full, and you find that by the time it gets to maybe the third round, which can be as late as August, they're really tired and it's not going to be successful. So I'm holding them off for a short while, maybe another week or two, and then I'll allow them access to the nest sites. And fingers crossed that will get them off to a flying start. And the reason I've hung them on the front is to whet their appetite. So we'll see how that goes for us in a few episodes' time. So a quick trip out to the flights then, because this is where we're housing and breeding the Greenfinches. Now, you might remember 2 years ago we built these flights. They're lined with UPVC. They're mainly built of wood. We've got custom cage fronts on here and access doors below. Each flight is 2 feet wide, 4 feet deep, 6 feet high. So plenty of room to hopefully keep them fit, keep them active. And this is where we successfully bred the greenies last year. Now, 6 pairs for this breeding season. We've got 5 flights here, so there is 4 pairs from flights 2 to flight 5 in here. A pair behind the camera is something else we're going to talk about later. And we've got 2 pairs of greenies in the bird room. Now, they are quite messy. I didn't really want them in the bird room, but I've had to make a few changes to make things fit best. And so far, so good. It's been working for us. So all the greenies have got 2 nest sites. On the front, I've hung external nest boxes. These are like canary nest boxes. They've got the sort of wicker wire, cocoa fibre nest pans in there, a bit of fake ivy around them, and at the back, they've got wooden platforms with a natural perch, fake Christmas tree over the top, and a cocoa liner. Once again, we successfully bred them on just those last year, but I do think that this year, with me having 2 nest sites, is going to mean that they'll hopefully use both, which will mean that they won't be shoving youngsters out of the original nest site, making them jump early, and then as a result injuring themselves or not being fed properly. So I'm hoping that will work in my favour this year, because it's something that didn't particularly work great for us last season. But all my greenies, or all pretty much pairs, are based around one singular line that I have a good access to, good friend of mine who I can regularly go back to, source birds, and you know, build my own line around over the next few years, which hopefully will work nicely for me. Of our 6 pairs then, Flight 2, Flight 3 and Flight 4 have all built up. Flight 2 have laid the first egg today, so in a week we've already got an egg. Flight 5 is a little bit behind, and then the cages, the birds in the cages in the bird room, one has sort of built up, not really done anything yet, the other is still building. So we're getting off to a good start, I'd say, with them. They are slightly behind the birds that were conditioned in the bird room, and the main reason for that is this is the scene here. About a month ago we got 4 inches of snow on the ground, it's -9 and it's absolutely freezing. I do think that has put all the birds back a little bit, both ours and of course the wild birds in the garden, but especially the greenies, because they've been out in the flights all winter, they've just not come along as quickly. But either way, I think we're off to a fairly good start. Fingers crossed for a good breeding season with them. What about the other species of British finches we've got then? Because we don't only have canaries, redpoles and greenfinches, but we've got other different species that you haven't seen yet. So the first is some bramble finches. Here we've got a 6-foot long flight, it's 2 feet wide and 3 foot high, and that is where we're having the pair of bramble finches. The hen is only in there at the moment. We've kept the cockbirds separate for a different reason I'm going to have to discuss in another video, but I don't expect them to really be doing anything until at least June. I know that the previous season, this pair for the guy who's had them previously went down in June. Maybe they'll be a bit earlier now that they're over year birds, but I'm not sure. But that's where the bramble hen is. That's a lovely planted flight now. We've got some fake ivy on a log in there. We've got some fake Christmas tree, other bits in there, and we've put a chapel nest site on the back wall with a cocoa liner in there. And just to make sure that she's happy, she's secluded and she feels safe on that nest site, we've put this green sheet down here. Now this is some scaffold sort of netting. It's a green scaffold netting. I folded it several times and tie wrapped it to the end of this flight so that she's got her own secluded place where she can go to nest. So behind me we've got a pair of native bullfinches. The cage I've opted to put them in is 3 feet wide, 3 feet high and 2 feet back. We've got some natural branches in there, some fruit branches, and we've also got a bamboo perch that I've stuck onto the front with a little slit on the front and going up to the nest site. The nest site I've chosen is once again an external wire nest site made for cages. I've hung that on the mesh at the back, put a bit of fake ivy around it and put a cocoa wicker liner in there as a nest liner. Now, let's take a quick look at this video I caught the other day. So that was the bullfinches displaying to each other, which is super exciting because they're clearly in very good condition, and I'd say it quite an advanced condition, more than I expected at this time of year. I expected them to maybe go to nest at the start of May, maybe mid-May, but it's mid-April and they're displaying to each other, they're mating each other. It's just going very well, and on that note, she's already built up, the hen, and she's laid the second egg today. So I can't really complain. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm over the moon with it. So she's laid the second egg. This is the first egg, completely normal. But this is the second egg. Never seen anything like it before. A tiny, tiny little egg compared to the other one, the normal size. It's probably about 8 mil in diameter. It's about the size of the nail on my pinky finger. So it's absolutely tiny. It's not going to be fertile. I don't even believe it has a yolk in it. But a little bit of a present, I guess, from them. Something unusual, something interesting to see. But either way, I'm over the moon, the fact that we've got the native bullies already going down to breed in mid-April. So fingers crossed, we'll have a good season with them. The Twites have got off to a flying start as well, just like the bullfinches. Same style cage, same style of everything pretty much. Natural perches, nest site that's a hang on the front sort of thing. They've got a grass liner in there, not a cocoa liner. 3 foot wide, 3 foot deep, 2 feet sort of wide cage. So pretty much exactly the same. They've built up, it is a young pair, so it's a 2022 bred hen hybrid and a 2022 bred cockbird from a friend. They're unrelated birds, so fingers crossed we might be getting some Twite eggs and baby Twites fairly soon. We've also got the linnets, so we've got a pair of linnets up here and a pair of linnets down in the aluminium flight cages. Now, the linnets are quite, as you can see, quite nervous birds. They just are by nature. I mean, the hen in there is hand-reared as well. All bred from a good friend of mine, captive bred close-rung birds, of course, but just quite timid at the moment. They haven't really been showing any signs of going to nest. I think it's probably a little bit too early for them. Maybe May sort of time, but hopefully it all goes all right for them anyway. But yeah, a few weeks until we have an update on the linnets. And we also have the goldfinches at the far side. Once again, same situation. The goldies are probably not going to go to nest until May. So we've got a few more weeks yet before I expect any sort of movement with them. But hopefully it'll go all right for us anyway. Fingers crossed it does. So now I think we need to take a look at the mule and hybrid pairs where we've got some excitement as well. This season, we've got 5 British bird mule or hybrid pairs. So top corner, redpole bully pair. We had a full egg, sorry, 2 full eggs from this pair last season. The hen's already built up surprisingly. I didn't expect them to go down this early. It's a good thing that she hasn't laid yet because I don't think the redpole is in good enough condition yet. As we mentioned earlier when we was looking at the redpoles are breeding straight, it's probably going to be 2 or 3 weeks before they're in good enough condition to fill eggs and breed successfully. So hopefully at the moment, no eggs from these guys and, you know, give it 2 weeks and then I think we'll be all right. Linnet mule pair behind me, building up, no eggs so far. But then we've got the Siskin mule trio down here we need to take a look at. So down here we've got our Siskin mule trio in this 2 cages here. We've got a brown pastel European Siskin cockbird with 2 canary hens. He's got a yellow dimorphic hen and a clear red-eyed cinnamon fife hen. So interesting pairings. They've been getting on fine. They've been feeding each other and all good signs so far. Both hens have gone to nest. We've got 4 eggs from the yellow dimorphic and the first egg today from the clear cinnamon. So Pretty much all good signs. The only thing is I've never bred birds in trios like this before, moving a cock bird from side to side. So I've got a fair bit to learn with this, but I've put a wire divider in so he can see both his hens. They can stay bonded and interact with each other. He can feed them through the wire, but it does mean that I can just have to move him several times a day. And if you are wondering why don't I just remove the divider, it's because I don't want the hens to fight over nest sites. I think it'll work best if I have a divider in there. So hopefully it all goes okay and we'll get full eggs. I can't see why we won't, because this king cock's in condition. He feeds both hens and gets on well with them. I've just yet to see him thread them, but he probably does. So hopefully it all goes okay. This pair here is one of the exact reasons I have feeder canaries. It's because we've got a yellow Norwich hen here with a Twite cockbird. Now this is obviously a muley pair, but Norwich aren't usually the best parents. I know this hen, I've had her for 3 breeding seasons now, and she doesn't rear her young. She goes to nest, which she's already done. She's built a nest. She spends about 7 days to 10 days messing about, no egg. Then she'll lay probably 3 eggs. She might sit them, maybe, but she won't rear them. So this is why I've got feeder canaries, is I can get the eggs off this pair, put them under a different pair, and all going well, they will rear the youngsters for us, incubate them, and we'll have some young Twite mules. She can go back to nest, and we'll just kind of repeat that cycle. This is the final mule hybrid pair. So in flight 1, in the outdoor flights, we have a European Greenfinch cockbird we bred last season with a 2-barred crossbill parrot crossbill. So it's not a hybrid hen, it's more of a crossbreed because they're 2 crossbill species, if that makes sense. But obviously overall we're doing a hybrid with this pair. Now I've seen great signs, I've seen them feeding each other, but over the past 2 days it's took them probably a week to settle in. Over the past 2 days, I've been putting jute on the front, I've been putting all sorts of nest material, and they've been getting on absolutely fabulous. We've got a sort of pine nest site at the front. It's a pine liner. I've put that in a sort of canary nest pan holder, and at the back, she's got a wooden platform with a cocoa nest liner as well. She's not really decided which nest site she wants yet, but she's been building in both. So we'll see what happens. I'm just gonna keep my fingers crossed and touch wood, everything goes well. But so far, so good with this pair. They've been getting on rather well, as I said. They've been building. I think we just need to see a bit more sort of definitive answer as to which nest site she's going in, because so far each nest site is filled with nest material, but no particular preference as to which one she's choosing. So there you are, guys, episode 1 of Breeding British Birds season 3. I hope you have enjoyed it today. Looking at all the pairs that we've got for this breeding season, I think it's about 37 pairs, so it's going to be mental, but let's hope, fingers crossed, it's well worth it and we'll get quite a few youngsters. Of course, the transformation of the bird room from being all ready for conditioning to breeding quarters, so all the artificial plants, loads of deep cleans had to be done to get it all right, but I'm super pleased with the outcome now, and obviously a flying start so far with so many different pairs going down. Do let me know what is your favourite pair that you've seen in today's video in the comment section. So if you have enjoyed it today, do make sure to smash a like on it and subscribe down below. It's very much appreciated. We're nearly at 17,000 subscribers. And don't forget, every Saturday morning, 9 AM, Breeding British Birds, the next episode. So thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.